So, I decided to do a video today about social emotional learning with everything that's going on in the world, um, in America, with police brutality, deaths, including COVID, um, social injustice, churches, you name it, it's going on. And guess what, people? It's not going away. That's the number one thing you have to realize is the world, your world, everybody's world is ever changing. And the only way that you can get through this thing called life is if you embrace the change. So, social emotional learning is a process through which people acquire an effective application of knowledge, attitude, and skills necessary to understand and manage their emotions. What you do with social emotional learning is you set and achieve positive goals, positive feelings, and you show empathies for others by establishing and maintaining positive relationships to make the world a better place. I know I probably said a lot. I know you guys have allergies. I know you guys have probably never heard of social emotional learning, but I know a lot of people that watch my videos are educators, have education, and have Google. Just Google it, read about it, try to understand it. I am definitely here for you as a professional, as a character development coach, as a mindful meditation instructor, as a personal, professional, business coach. I'm here for you. I have the tools and resources to help anyone who would like more about social emotional learning. Um, and I have plans and processes to get you to the place that you need to be a better version of yourself, because that is essential to healthy living. Um, Not just working out, not just eating right, not just going to a therapist. Sometimes we really just need to tap into ourselves and say, this bothers me. And how can I change that? How can I change that within myself? How can I plant seeds of change in others? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about social emotional learning, which we call SEL. There are 5 competencies of this. So, excuse me. The first competency is self awareness. One thing you have to do is understand your emotions and thoughts and how they influence your behavior. Just because you have an emotional feeling or thought toward a certain or specific thing that's going on in your life, understand that. Understand where that stems from. Understand, is it rooted from your past? Is it rooted in fear? Is it rooted just from an insecurity in your own self? Where does that stem from? And how does that influence your behavior? When you think about your actions and how your feelings and your actions coincide, does your behavior show your true core characteristics of love, joy, peace, and harmony? Or does your behavior show how you feel? Are you being logical in your behavior because your feelings are all out of whack? And I always say this, check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's okay to feel. It's totally okay to feel. But when we start acting on our emotions, sometimes that's not okay. Sometimes we're bleeding on people because we're cut and we want them to hurt too. Hurt people, and that is not okay. So the next competency of SEL is self-management. Manage yourself, manage your emotions, manage your thoughts. Give yourself 5 seconds, give yourself 5 minutes. Put a time limit on how long you're going to feel that way and move past it, because at the end of the day, however you're feeling about a certain situation is not going to pay your bills. It's not going to progress you to your next level, propel you anywhere further in life, because you're stuck in your feelings. You can't get anything done because you're stuck in your feelings. Allow time to feel, but don't dwell there. The next competency is responsible decision making. This is a harder one, only because when you make decisions, you're not only making decisions for yourself, you're making decisions for your family, you're making decisions for the people that are connected to you. So, however you feel and think, and then decide on how to act, affects everyone connected to you. So, you have to be responsible in decision making. The next competency is social awareness. Everybody's aware. Everybody knows what's going on. Me personally, do I choose to acknowledge the fact that I know? No. What good is my post, my rant, my opinion? What good does that do to the society? It just lets people know how I feel about it. But I take my feelings to the altar. That's just how I do it. If I'm really in my feelings, then I might have a conversation with the person I'm in my feelings with. But what socially just sound am I creating by voicing my opinion about anything? I am aware, and that's all the social emotional learning competency means. Just be aware. Don't be blindsided. Don't be gullible. Don't act like, oh, I didn't know. You know, you've seen the message. You're aware. That's all it's saying is be aware. That way, when you're confronted with something, you say, oh, I know about that, but I choose not to speak on it, or I choose not to give it thought because it doesn't resonate with where I'm at in my life. And it's okay to do that. The last competency is relationship skills. This is probably a harder one for most. Relationship skills don't necessarily mean lovers. Relationship skills is a very broad spectrum of relationships, from parent relationship, child relationships, friendships, co-workerships, church relationships. So you should be very cautious about your audience, number one, and how to develop those skills is something that I think everyone should pay attention to, research, get help with. A lot of the emotions have to do with the relationships that we hold dear and near to us. I seen a post that said, I was your friend, but you were never my friend, or something like that. When people begin to feel excluded, betrayed, then their emotions start to rise. And if they don't learn how to, if people don't learn how to manage their emotions when it comes to relationships, they will always be looking for validation in others instead of themselves. And so those are the 5 social emotional learning competencies. Now let's talk a little bit about how you can integrate this into your life, how you can start to manage or complete those competencies, master those competencies. The number one thing that I always suggest to my clients is journal. Write it all down. Look at it later. Because if you keep it in your head, it will stay there. And you will replay it over and over again for no reason other than to take up the time that you could be doing something more productive. If you write it down, you release it onto the paper. Once it's released to the paper, then you can decide what you want to do with that information later. You no longer have to hold it in your brain. You can always go back to that memory cell and say, I wrote that down somewhere. And if you can't find it, 9 times out of 10, it's God's will that you're not supposed to look at it again anyway, and you're supposed to forget. That's what I think about. The next one is um, go to meetings, go to support groups, find a support group in your area to talk about stuff that you really just need to get off your chest. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that is nice, but are you getting the support you need? Are you just venting? Are you just reading, regurgitating the same narrative over and over? And is that doing you any good? So seek out support groups, counselors, therapists, life coaches, so on and so forth. Build a community with like minded people, teamwork. If you really want to do something in this life, get with people who want to do the same thing or a variation of the thing that you want to do and execute it. And that way you can learn from them. You have that social emotional learning experience. And that goes back to one of the competencies, social awareness, relationship skills, self management. Through others, you can see where you need help. You can see where you need to become the best version of yourself. Talk about your emotions. Talk about how you can manage those and what that looks like. Talk about in your teamwork settings with your like-minded people. I'm sorry, my nose is just killing me today. With like-minded people, how you feel, get it out. It's like journaling. But then you have some people that want to give advice. Now, be careful when you're talking about your emotions. Now, I always like to tell my clients, let people know that you're venting or you need advice before you start spewing out whatever you need to say. I like to tell people, I'm venting, so let me get it out. And then after I'm venting and I come up with an aha, then I say, hey, I need some advice on this part. And so it's okay to do that, but you set the precedence over what you should be receiving and also what you should be delivering. So when you manage your emotions and you have social emotional learning experiences and you try to complete the competencies of those, then you will begin to say, you know what, I am a positive person. I do look out for the best interests of not only myself, but for others. I let others know where I stand in a certain situation, and I let them know how I would like for them to respond. Now, their response might not be something that you want to hear, or their response might not even be on a topic that you thought, whatever it is. But guess what? You get to decide what you do with that information and how it should affect your life. And again, social emotional learning is all about positive thoughts and positive actions. Another part of something that you can do for social emotional learning is practice mindfulness. You teach yourself how to calm down before something infuriates you, right? Manage your emotions when you're upset. Manage your emotions when you're excited. So you say, okay, you know what? I'm beginning to feel a little anxiety rise up in me. Let me calm down. Go to my quiet place in my brain and sit there. And then tell yourself, is this even worth the conversation? Is this person that I'm giving energy to worth it? Is this going to matter in 5 minutes? How does this affect my life? If it doesn't, and you're still angry, seek help. I don't really know what else to tell you because that's a whole nother issue. Try to do something that promotes growth every day, promotes growth of your mind and your emotions every day. Play games, do a daily check-in, have an accountability partner. Write some goals down. There's a long list of things that you can do to become social emotional. Listen. So social emotional learning, SEL, is a process through which people acquire an effective application of knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to understand and manage their emotions. Again, if you want more information on social emotional learning, hit me up at grindthegridllc@gmail.com. My name is Ashley T. Dirks, Master of Education, and I'm here to educate you. I love you. Bye.